today's episode, what we're going to be doing is installing our BJ's Off-Road Headlight Relay Kit. And as you can see, it includes 2 relays right there. It includes 2 plugs that will plug into your headlights. It includes a ground wire. It includes a power wire that also has 2 fuses on it. And then it also includes a plug that will go into the passenger side factory harness where your headlights used to plug into. So let's get started. Now in this project I went ahead and removed the headlight bezels, the headlight retaining rings, the headlights themselves, and the grille just to make things easier for everybody to see. And you can find out how to do that in the factory service manuals, which we also sell. So the first thing you're going to do after you have all of this stuff disassembled is you're going to lay everything out. Now the way that I'm going to do it, which this seems to be the easiest way, is to basically take your relays, your fuses, and your negative cable, and you're going to put those over here next to your battery. And then next to the battery there is a hole where your AC lines go, and from there you can feed in your headlight plug, the factory harness headlight plug, and you're also going to feed in the driver's side plug through that same hole. And I'll bring this over here so you can take a quick look inside. So you have 2 holes. The first one here is a fresh air duct, and then the one that's next to it is where your lines will go in. So you basically push all those lines in, then you're going to reach in here behind the headlight bucket, which you can access from this hole, and you're going to grab all of those and pull them through. Okay, now that we have the first wire pushed through, what you want to do is get your hands back up inside of here, and you're going to want to direct the first orange plug to go behind the headlight bucket. It may take a little while of moving stuff around just to get it to fit through. And let's see here if I can get a better shot of that. Okay. So I got it just about ready to come through, so you just push it around and start pushing through here. Alright, so there we go. So that is what's going to plug into your passenger side headlamp. And of course you want to gently feed the wire through. And I'm going to go ahead and pull it farther than it needs to be just to make sure everything is easy to see and out of the way. Now the next thing you're going to do is this factory headlight plug. You're going to take that out of this area. So you're going to reach your hands behind the bucket and you're going to help guide that over. And I'm going to leave that over here just so we can see it and access it. Okay, now the next step is going to be feeding through the passenger side plug, which is this guy, and he's got a ton of wire. So you're going to go ahead and feed him through that same hole, and you're going to reach up behind there, and as soon as he goes through, you're going to grab it. And note that you may have to twist these around a little bit to get the end plugs to go through the hole and to avoid other wires. So, now that this guy's through, I'm just going to keep pulling all of that wire out until it's just about tight on the other end. And then I'm going to leave it sitting. Okay, so the next step is to take this yellow plug and to feed it through as well. So let's get that through the opening. And we'll get our hands up in there and feed that through. Okay. And we'll keep him out here. Now what you're going to do is plug this guy into here, just like this. So it's just like your original headlight, and you'll plug those together. Okay, and so now that guy just basically gets tucked down here out of the way. And the last step is going to be to take the driver's side orange plug, and you're going to feed that through as well. Just get this pushed through there. And get a hold of that and feed the line. You can Now this guy also has a lot of line because he has to go all the way over to the driver's side. So you're going to pull all the way through. Now you do want to leave a little bit of slack up on the top end, and that's where you're going to be connecting the relays. So up in this area, you want to make sure to leave a little slack until you do your final install on the relays and on the fuses. Okay, the next step is to feed this through, and you want to pull it behind here. Of course, feed all the extra line through. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow where the original headlight harness went, which is right here, and it goes underneath the core support, and it goes over and then drops down and goes behind the core support and behind the horns and then over to the other side. And I'm just going to follow the exact same routing, and then I'll use zip ties to hold everything together. And now on the first horn, it's easier if you go underneath the horn. Let's get you moved over a little bit so you can see this area better. Okay, next you're going to grab the wires and pull them all the way through. And now we're going to go up and over the other horn. Now behind the driver bucket there is another loom, and that can kind of get in the way and make it hard to get the plug through. So what I do is I like to grab it and push it to the driver's side and then stick my finger in to hold it out of the way, and then that can make it much easier to feed it over. Now this is the side that I would consider the most frustrating. And of course you could also make this easier by removing the headlight bucket itself, but it's not absolutely necessary. Okay, now once we get that through, you want to gently feed that through the back of the hole. Okay, and you want to pull out enough just to make it easy to plug everything back in, and then once we're done we're going to tuck everything back inside behind the bucket. So now that that's there, you want to make sure the rest of your wires have been moved down, and when you get back on this side you want to pull it down below the horn. So you're going to tuck it actually behind it and gently pull down on it. And I'll move the camera over a little bit just to make it easier to see. And now what you're going to do is once this is below the horn, you want to make sure it's down where the other harness is. You're going to pull out the slack while holding the headlight harness at the bucket and tuck everything down nice and neat. Now what we're going to do is in front of the condenser, you want to make sure everything lines up properly. Okay, so that's where we want it to go. So what we're going to do is get some zip ties now and connect it to the factory loom. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get some zip ties on here. Now again, if you want, you can put this in the factory harness, into that factory loom, and you can get rid of the original wires, but just in case I ever want to go back, like say I want to sell the vehicle or something, I prefer to do it this way. This guy fell down, so we'll plug him back up. And we'll get one more back behind here. All right, we'll get one more here in the corner. Okay, now that the harness is set up and zip tied out of the way, what we want to do is take the driver's side orange plug and plug it into the back of our headlight. Make sure it's on there nice and firm. Tuck any excess wires back out of the way, and you can use your other hand to feed it through. Make sure nothing gets pinched on there, and set it back in, and then reinstall your trim ring. Okay, and let's get this guy final tighten here. Okay, so now that that's done, we can move over to the passenger side, and we're just going to repeat the same process. Okay, now we're back on the passenger side. The exact same process. You want to make sure to get that plug installed, make sure it's nice and tight. Feed back any excess. Get everything lined up. Okay, so that takes care of reinstalling the headlights. So now we're going to move up by the battery, and we're going to install the relays and the fuses onto the inner fender well. Alright, so the next step in the process is going to be to mark and drill and install the relay. Okay, now the next step is you're going to want to go ahead and remove the relays, which I already loosened these just to make it easier to pop them out. And you're going to want to take the block, find a suitable spot that's out of the way, and you want to mark it. Then you're going to move that out of the way, and we need to drill the holes, or you can use self-tapping screws, whichever you prefer. Just because I have self-tapping screws handy, that's what I'll go ahead and use. Okay, now that I got the holes drilled, we can go ahead and install this. Okay, so now that that's firmly mounted, we can go ahead and reinstall both relays. And you want to make sure that they click all the way down. Okay, so now those are mounted, so the next step is you're going to want to install both of these fuses. Okay, and then the last step is going to be installing the two fuse holders. Now you can install them together, or you can install them separately. I'm going to install them separately. And there is one hole here that was already existing but wasn't used for anything. So I'll go ahead and just reuse that hole. Okay, there we go. So he's installed. And now let's make a hole for the second one. The last thing that we're going to have to do is connect to the positive cable and to the negative cable. Okay, and the last step is going to be to connect the harness of the relay kit to the battery, positive and negative. Okay, so we get him installed there. Okay, and then the last step is going to be to connect this negative cable. And if you were paying attention, I actually had to stop filming for a minute because I couldn't get the nut off of this side. It actually had rusted through and it basically broke, so I had to go get another one. So now you just install that. Put that guy on there. Now you're ready to enjoy your super bright headlights. If you got any questions, feel free to give us a call, or you can catch us on our website at bjsoffroad.com.